allegiance The prayer this evening will be offered by the good delegate from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This evening is the birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. And with that, I'll be offering a prayer for peace that Abraham Lincoln himself offered. Almighty God, who has given us this good land for our heritage, we humbly beseech you that we may always prove ourselves a people mindful of your favor and glad to do your will. Bless our land with honorable ministry, sound learning, and pure manners. Save us from violence, discord, and confusion, from pride and arrogance, and from every evil way. Defend our liberties and fashion into one united people the multitude brought here out of many kindreds and tongues. Endow your spirit of wisdom those whom in your name we entrust the authority of government, that there may be justice and peace at home, and that through obedience to your law we may show forth your praise among the nations of the earth. In time of prosperity, fill our hearts with thankfulness, and in the day of trouble, suffer not our trust in you to fail, all of which we ask in your name. Amen.
Amen. Quorum call.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their presence? If so, the clerk will take the call. There being 124 members present, the House is now in session. The clerk will read the journal from the previous day.
Annapolis, Maryland, February the 10th, 2023.
Recognizing the Deputy Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So much be considered the reading of the journal.
So ordered. Petitions, memorials, and other papers. Introduction of House bills. The clerk will read the bills and their committee assignments.
House Bill 1227, Chair, Health and Government Operations Committee, House Rules. House Bill 1228, Delegate Queen, House Rules. House Bill 1229, Cecil County Delegation, House Rules. House Bill 1230, Delegate Holmes, House Rules. House Bill 1231, Delegate Roseberg, House Rules. House Bill 1232, Delegate Lopez, House Rules. By order, Sylvia Siegert, Chief Clerk.
The clerk will read the bond initiatives and the committee assignment.
Introductory House Bond Initiatives number 32, February 13, 2023, referred to appropriations.
Letters of reassignment. The clerk will read the letter.
House Bill 845, reassigned to Judiciary.
Hearing no objections, the letters have been read and ordered journalized. Today, we will have the Lincoln Day Address, which will be offered by the good delegate from Frederick County.
Good evening. As was alluded to earlier, yesterday was the birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, and I have the distinct honor of giving the Lincoln Day Address. As many of you may know, the 16th president, as possibly Honest Abe, Rail Splitter, or maybe even as the first Republican president of the United States. But tonight, we're going to talk about Abraham Lincoln the man. We're going to put popular lore aside. Lincoln was born poor in a log cabin on February 12, 1809 in Kentucky. When he was just 3 years old, his infant brother Thomas died. When he was 7, his family had to abandon their Kentucky farm due to his father's lingering legal problems. They were forced to move to Indiana and became squatters. His father was illiterate. Lincoln only attended school in uneven spurts. His total attendance added up to no more than just 1 year of formal education. At some point, his education became such a source of conflict that he would miss farm work and his father would actually beat him for this. There was a history of mental illness in Lincoln's family. Both of his parents likely suffered from clinical depression. When Lincoln was 9, his mother died. In the same year, his aunt died and his uncle died. He was very close with them. A year after his mother's death, his father left for Kentucky to find a new wife. He was gone for a period of 2 to 6 months, leaving his children with their cousin. When he returned, he found his children were dirty and poorly clothed. Lincoln later described this as a time of sad and pitiful. At age 19, in 1828, his sister Sarah dies after delivering a stillborn child. She was just 20 years old. Sarah was his only sibling left, and they had been extremely close. She had been the one constant in his life, and he was devastated. Lincoln and his father were never close. The relationship was very cold, and after Lincoln left home at age 21, their contact was impersonal and infrequent. At age 23, Lincoln ran for the Illinois General Assembly for the first time. He loses. A year later, in 1833, Lincoln files for bankruptcy as his business had failed. A year after that, in 1834, Lincoln again runs for the General Assembly, and he wins, and then suffers a nervous breakdown. At age 26, in 1835, his good friend, and some say his first love, Anne Rutledge, passed away suddenly at age 22. Lincoln's depression was so severe that his neighbors feared for his well-being and safety. At age 29, Lincoln runs for Speaker of the Illinois House and loses. In 1841, at age 32, he broke off his engagement with Mary Todd, the future First Lady. This was followed by a time of deep depression, and Lincoln suffered his second nervous breakdown. Ultimately, they did reconcile and were married in November of 1842. They had 4 sons, only of which one made it to maturity. In 1843, at age 34, Lincoln runs for the U.S. House, loses. In 1850, his son Eddie dies a month before his 4th birthday. A year later, in 1851, Lincoln's father dies. He didn't attend the funeral. In 1853, his son Tad is born with a cleft palate and lip. He spoke with a lisp his entire life and was sometimes hard to understand even for his parents. At age 45, in 1854, Lincoln runs for U.S. Senate, loses. 2 years later, in 1856, Lincoln runs for vice president, loses. 2 years after that, in 1858, Lincoln runs for U.S. Senate again, loses. At age 51, in 1860, Lincoln miraculously wins the presidency with just 39% of the vote. He was ridiculed intensely. A month later, South Carolina is the first state to secede from the Union, just a month after he got elected. In March of 1861, Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, Texas all seceded from the Union. Fort Sumter in South Carolina is attacked 1 month later. By the end of June, Virginia, Arkansas, North Carolina, and Tennessee have all seceded from the Union. In July of 1861, the U.S. armies, Lincoln's armies, are defeated at the First Battle of Bull Run. The war goes terribly for 2 years. In February of 1862, his sons Willie and Tad became gravely ill with typhoid. Willie, age 11, dies. Tad, age 9, survives but is significantly weakened. He outlives his father but dies at age 18. By April of 1865, over 620,000 soldiers have died, equal to the total number of every casualty in the American Revolution, the War of 1812, the Mexican War, the Spanish-American War, World War I, World War II, and the Korean War combined. That's the modern equivalent of 7 million souls. Finally, on April 9, 1865, Robert E. Lee surrenders at Appomattox, and the Civil War is over. A mere 5 days later, after Lee's surrender, Lincoln is assassinated in front of his wife at Ford's Theater, a mere 30 miles south of here. Now, I know what you're thinking, but let me be clear. This is not a story of tragedy. This is one of triumph. You see, growing up poor, without education, without prospects, and countless personal and professional failures, Lincoln never stopped moving forward. He never gave up. He never quit. Lincoln was largely self-taught. He was aggressive about his self-education and read anything he could get his hands on. He read Euclid and taught himself geometry. He enjoyed talking and telling stories, so he studied a book called Lessons of Elocution. I think that's how you pronounce that. He was also a self-taught lawyer, studying law books borrowed from a local attorney. His appetite for reading and learning never stopped. Once elected to Congress, he would spend hours reading in the Library of Congress, and later was even known to read books during cabinet meetings. But Lincoln's greatest asset was his character. A friend and businessman, G.S. Hubbard, said of Lincoln, "I never had a friend to whom I was more warmly attached. His character was almost faultless, possessing a warm and generous heart, genial, affable, honest, courteous to his opponents, persevering, industrious in research, never losing sight of the principal point under discussion." Another acquaintance, Caleb Carman, said, he was liked by everybody that knew him. While he boarded with me, he made himself useful in every way that he could. If the water bucket was empty, he would fill it. If wood needed to be chopped, he chopped it. And he was always cheerful and in good humor. He started out one morning with an axe on his shoulder, and I asked him what he was going to do. His answer was, "I'm going to try a project." When he returned, he had 2 hickory poles on his shoulders, and in a very short time, 2 of my chairs had new bottoms. In another story, on October 15, 1861, an 11-year-old girl named Grace Bedell wrote to Lincoln and said that his face was far too thin and that if he grew a beard, she would try and get her brothers to vote for him. This was pre-election. For the first time in Lincoln's political life, Lincoln grew a beard and wrote back to Grace and said, "I let these whiskers grow for you, Grace." Lincoln also had a legendary sense of humor. During a cabinet meeting where they were to review a draft of the Emancipation Proclamation, Lincoln started off reading a humorous story. Not one of his cabinet members laughed. He said to them, "Gentlemen, why don't you laugh? With the fearful strain that is upon me night and day, if I did not laugh, I should die. And you need this medicine as much as I do." When a congressman disapproved of a funny story he told, Lincoln replied, "I have great confidence in you and great respect for you, and I know how sincere you are, but if I couldn't tell these stories, I would die." During the famous debates in 1858, his opponent, Stephen Douglas, called him two-faced. And Lincoln is said to have answered, "Sir, if I had another face, do you think I'd wear this one?" At an event a few weeks before becoming president, he said to the assembled crowd, "I have stepped out upon this platform that I may see you and that you may see me, and in that arrangement, I have the best of the bargain." Lincoln was smart. Allegedly, upon hiring Ulysses S. Grant to take over the Union Army, advisors of Lincoln said that Grant was a drunk. And Lincoln famously quipped, "We'll send the other generals whatever he's drinking, because he wins battles." Lincoln could wield humor like a sword, using humorous stories and anecdotes to prove a point or to avoid a conversation. It served him in the courtroom, his legislative career, and it served him as president. He was not afraid to aim his wit at himself, recognizing the political value of self-deprecation. Lincoln's political rise was tumultuous at best, full of losses and a few wins. While he did lose his first election to the Illinois House in 1832, he ran again in 1834 and won. He was 25 years old. After re-election in 1836, he became floor leader and gained the respect and admiration of his allies and his opponents. Lincoln's presidency was remarkable. He filled his cabinet with political rivals, men who had more government experience than he, men who were more educated and better known. These men were stubborn, opinionated, and powerful, called the team of rivals. Lincoln's cabinet remains one of the most extraordinary cabinets in American history. Ultimately, Lincoln dared greatly. He had the force of will to pull back together a nation that had ripped itself apart. He had the courage to put an end to one of the greatest human rights violations this world has ever known. Now, I can't imagine what Lincoln was thinking as a young state delegate from Illinois, sitting in a chamber just like this. Was it even conceivable to Lincoln at the time that one day he would be tasked with saving our Union or responsible for the freedom of millions of people? Look at what Lincoln had to overcome, and look at what he accomplished. Perhaps 157 years from now, someone will be standing at this very podium as I am today, telling a story about one of you. Maybe they will talk about the adversity that you faced or the challenges that you have yet to overcome. But ultimately, they will talk about the state and the country that you left better off. I hope that day comes, because I know that old Honest Abe will be looking down then, as he is now, with a great sense of pride, as all of us. As all of us. Now, I would like to leave you with this quote from a speech that Lincoln allegedly gave in 1864. "I am not bound to win, but I am bound to be true. I am not bound to succeed, but I am bound to live by the light that I have. I must stand with anybody that stands right, and stand with him while he is right, and part with him when he is wrong." Thank you, Madam Speaker.
That ends the work at the desk.
Madam Speaker.
Recognizing the minority leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to journalize the remarks of the gentleman from Frederick County this evening.
So moved. Okay. Any delegation announcements? Okay. Any caucus announcements?
Madam Speaker.
Recognizing the chair of the Democratic Caucus.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good evening, colleagues. The House Democratic Caucus will be meeting tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. in the Prince George's County Delegation Room. Thank you.
Recognizing the chair of the Republican caucus.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Republican caucus will meet tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. in room 145.
Any personal or guest announcements?
Madam Speaker.
Recognizing General Lee from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Colleagues, join me tonight. We had District 7 night here in Annapolis, and we have a lot of friends here in the galleries that came to watch us as we conduct our business. Please welcome them.
Madam Speaker.
Recognizing Young Lady from Hartford.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In addition to our friends from District 7, I also want to recognize my very good friend Colleen Honorato and my other friend Terry. They're both here today as well in the gallery, and they both work in my office as well. Welcome, ladies.
Recognizing the gentleman from Baltimore County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Among us in the Ford Gallery is someone who's worked for a handful of us and is now working at a couple of state agencies. Tireless worker Sean Ford up there tonight. We love him.
Recognizing the other gentleman from Baltimore County.
Good evening, Madam Speaker. I'm really fortunate because in the gallery is my daughter, the teacher, 5th grade teacher, Hernwood, Kaylin Phillips. In addition, Madam Speaker, there are a number of ladies who are Baltimore County and Baltimore City residents representing the National Sorority of Phi Delta Kappa, all of the teachers in the house. If you ladies could stand as well.
Gentleman from Baltimore and Harford County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to recognize my lovely wife who is over in the corner there, my lovely wife, Lauren, with our beautiful 3-month-old baby boy, Caleb. Madam Speaker, I'd also like to recognize my Chief of Staff, Beth Stone, and our lovely Communications Director, Rachel Allman, who is somewhere in the audience as well. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Gentleman from Carroll.
Merci beaucoup, Madam Speaker. It is after much reflection and prayer that I stand and speak with you today. Not only is February 12th the birthday of my political science hero, the great emancipator, but it is also the day I chose to stop drinking alcohol 5 years ago. Thank you very much, but there's something more deep to this story that I need to share with you. And that is the connection of my alcoholism to an anniversary that's coming up this Thursday, February 16th. February 16th will be the 6th anniversary since I lost my baby daughter, Tawny Nicole, to the opioid epidemic. It was fentanyl that killed her. And I know the direct connection between the mental health that people suffer and addiction, because it afflicted my life, it impacted my family. And I know that addiction, mental health, suicide, overdose, and overdose fatalities are affecting all of us. It impacted me directly, impacts everyone indirectly. It is the darkness that has descended upon all of our districts. And we, as public officials, must be aware of this problem in all of its forms. And I ask that you shine your light of love upon everyone you meet. And it's love and the light that beats back the darkness. And I was inspired to stand up and say this today because of something one of my colleagues said to me. Madam Speaker, may I use a colleague's name?
Permission granted.
Merci beaucoup, Madam Speaker. It was the kind words of the lovely and radiant Delegate Pasteur. She has such a beautiful French name, and I'm partial to it, I must say. But the first week I was a delegate, I was in the lobby, and I was getting my coat, and she came up to me, and she said, "You look lovely today," and she chuckled. And the reason she chuckled was she said, "I want to tell you, you look lovely today before you tell me, because every day I tell her how lovely she is." And she gave me a hug. And she said she was shining her light upon me. And I'm here to shine my light upon all of you. We have a responsibility. And when I told that story, permission to mention another colleague's name, Madam Speaker?
Permission granted.
Thank you. When I told that story to my wonderful, intelligent Judiciary Committee seatmate, Delegate Phillips, he began to sing to me "This Little Light of Mine" from Christian school. And it touched me. It touched me deeply because I grew up on hillbilly bluegrass music, and we sang that song too. But he sang it to me in, I guess, maybe Baptist gospel. But it made me realize that we are all walking in the light. And I will close with this. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. This little light of mine, oh, I'm going to let it shine. Bless you all, and bless you, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much.
Are there any other personal or guest announcement? Seeing none, calling on the protocol chair.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Where all my sunshines, come on down. Look what we got today. All females, aren't they beautiful? Oh, aren't they beautiful? All of those beautiful sunshines are going to take care of y'all today, this whole week. So y'all be good to my babies, okay? All these sunshines, they've been grinning, smiling, teeth shining. When I call your name, stand up and wave to your delegates. All right? Here we go. The first up, Kimberly Augustine, Prince George's County, District 47A, Charles Herbert Flower High School. Jordan Davis, Charles County, District 28, North Point High School. Layla L. Sharif, Frederick County, District 4, Oakdale High School. Fabian Germa, Montgomery County, District 15, Thomas S. Wooten High School. Let me see, here we go. Raisin Gupta, Montgomery County, District 14, Gaithersburg High School. Braylon Howard, Hartford County, District 35A, C. Milton Wright High School. Now, this is going to be a little challenge to me. Y'all hold in there. Mara Santa Newton, Howard County, District 9B, Cincinnati High School. Gabriel Wiggins, Baltimore County, District 11B, Franklin High School. Ladies, thank you all for coming. By Friday, I'll have these names down packed. Believe me, come on down. Wave to the crowd. Madam Speaker, here's my announcement again. I'm still waiting for people to come see me because I want to make sure you know that April the 10th is the big day. So I want you to come see me in room 205, and y'all know what for. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Sure.
Have a great night.
Thank you. Quorum call before adjournment.
Madam Speaker.
Has everyone recorded their presence? Clerk will take the call. There being 125 members present, the House is still in session. Recognizing the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the House stand adjourned until Tuesday, February 14th at 10 a.m.